Hello, and welcome to my vlog channel. I wanted to try something new today, as many things have been, as this is a fairly new channel, and I wanted to call this kind of a month in review. Now I know it's not the end of a month, but for me, at least the time I'm filming this, this is September 19th, and I have officially been self-employed for 1 month. Been working on my own for 1 month, and so I thought maybe I could kind of talk about some of the different things related to positive experiences from the last month, business behind the scenes stuff, as well as just general reflections. If this is something that you like, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know, just because that will help me going forward to decide if this is a good or not so good series to do. And eventually, if I do this more, I would try to align it more so with the regular months, but this is the first one, so I thought I'd give it a try. I'm going to start off sharing a couple positive experiences from the last month, as well as a few different business projects, and then reflections that I have about various things. I had to get a prop for the first one. Just this past week, I had the chance to go to a book talk with Marie Forleo, and her new book is called Everything is Figure-Outable. I have not yet read it. I just got the book a couple days ago, but it was one of those things where the talk that she provided was included with the book purchase, and it was not actually in downtown Chicago, but in one of the suburbs, which made it even easier to get to, and it was a lot of fun. I went with my friend Nikki, who is also in my business mastermind group, which is more so for like the teacher side of the business, but it was really fun. One thing I really liked that she mentioned was you don't have to get it perfect, you just have to get it going. And I think kind of the desire for perfection holds a lot of us back from achieving our goals, but to just put yourself out there, just give it your best shot, even if it's not perfect, is really important. So I liked that a lot. She also talked about fear, how fear is a GPS for where your soul wants to go, which also resonated with me. Overall, it was a really fun evening, and I am excited to read this. My reading list is very long at the moment, but we're working our way through gradually, so I'm definitely eager to check this out. I also had a chance to go to Chicago with Jake. We saw the show, The Band's Visit. We received tickets for going to this show as a gift from some of his family members, which was very nice that they gifted an experience rather than items. We really appreciate that. And we also went to the restaurant Veggie Grill, which is in Chicago and has some yummy vegan food. So it was a good time. And lastly, another top experience was getting to see some of Jake's extended family on Labor Day. They do have these gatherings fairly regularly, but the previous gathering had actually been canceled. Jake's grandma's been having some health issues and some cancer complications, so we weren't sure if we were going to actually have that time, and we were very appreciative. We made sure we spent time talking to his grandparents more in depth than we normally would, just creating positive memories there. And that just kind of as a reminder to make sure you're making the most of your time with anyone. Obviously, none of us know how long we have left, but especially chronic illness can be something that sort of reminds us about the urgency of taking this time. As far as a few business sort of behind the scenes things, I'm sure you had heard about the course launch. Better with Less course round 2 is up and running. Now it's towards the end of week 1. I've really been enjoying getting to know this new group, so that was definitely a big accomplishment. And I put in a lot more work behind the scenes on this launch than before. So some other things I did with it that were kind of related. I built the new Abundantly Minimal website. I love the new layout. It's so much better than the old layout, and I look forward to adding in a few things. I'll be adding a blog in. I'll be adding a couple added pages. So that's coming soon. I wrote an ebook this past month, which is called Declutter Without Guilt, which I will talk about more on the main channel soon. But that was a big project, but I think it's important since guilt is a really limiting emotion and unfortunately manifests itself in many ways when decluttering. So I thought, you know what, if I'm going to focus on like an ebook or focus on something that I can do that's a specific aspect of decluttering, that's what I want to focus on. So I'll talk more about that in a future Abundantly Minimal video. I also am sending out emails again to people. It's funny because I genuinely love email. I love responding to it. I love sending it. And I had people signing up to be like, get an email newsletter, and I just wasn't sending them out. So now I've done 3 weeks in a row of that. I'm doing a decluttering tip of the week, which I like doing. It's very minimal design, just simple text, send it out. And that has been fun. And I enjoy it because people respond back and it's fun to talk to them. I also did a lot with my Teachers Pay Teachers store and business, and it was really exciting. We actually had the best month ever, technically in August, and we actually ended up making triple the amount of money that we did the previous August, which I think is just a testament to some of the extra work I've been putting in and some of the extra resources I've been creating. So I've kept that up. I'm starting to get into some more unit work, which is exciting. A lot of the stuff before was more so individual products and resources a teacher could buy, but now we're transitioning into full units, which just helps streamline things for teachers and makes it a little bit easier to have all the different pieces. And I think finally the biggest business takeaway that's come from the last month is just a lot of clarity, because for so long I was kind of just hustling. Obviously I run the 2 companies and I was teaching, and unfortunately during those times I was just kind of in survival mode, doing what I could to get by. And I was working a lot in the business, like working on creating the videos, working on creating the course, and working with my course students, working on a lot of that stuff. But I wasn't necessarily working on the business, on the big picture stuff. And I am very grateful to have a lot of time to be able to think things through, and I've gotten a lot of clarity from that. For instance, today I planned out 12 weeks worth of teaching shows that will be on my teacher YouTube channel to help teachers practice self-care, as well as help social studies teachers specifically with issues that come up that you're not necessarily prepared for. That was really cool. I also, part of the benefit for my course students is after the course is done, there's monthly challenges to help them keep up their progress and focus on different aspects of their space in their life. I officially went through and scheduled the full year of what topics will be happening when, and an outline of what's to cover. And these kind of things are really fun for me, but I didn't really feel like I had the time for them before. So I'm definitely very grateful for that. Now that we've done the experiences and the business stuff, let's get into the reflections. It's going to get a little more vulnerable. So I assume if you're still watching, you are a big fan. But anyway, I wanted to reflect a little bit about my transition out of the classroom, out of classroom teaching. Now that it's actually like the 5th week that I would have been teaching if I was still. Honestly, the first week was really hard. I felt really unsure about my choices, and I was very aware of what I would have been teaching and what activities I would have been doing with students that first week. I kept looking at the school's website, and they do a lot with Twitter, and I was looking at that to sort of kind of imagine what it'd been like. So my mind was still very much there that first week, and I didn't feel super productive that week either, because I was probably honestly thinking about it a good half hour to an hour every day, maybe a little bit longer some of the days. It was really tough, and I didn't feel that great. The 2nd, 3rd, and 4th week, I think I felt a lot of relief not doing it, just because I was putting so much time into the course launch. And one of the things I struggled with was just the number of hours I had available. And I took so many days off this past year. One of my frustrations with the education system in the US is, as a teacher, you don't really get personal days, you get mostly sick days. So the idea is that if you're sick, you take a day off. You get 2 or 3 personal days, at least in schools in Illinois. And the personal days you can take off for whatever reason, and you can take off in advance. But if it's a sick day, unless it's a doctor appointment, you have to call in that morning or plug it in the night before. And I ended up taking about 15. How many of those was I actually sick to the point where I couldn't come in? I think once or twice. One of them, I wasn't sick, but I just couldn't sleep at all. It was not supposed to be an all-nighter, but that was one I did not plan on taking. So that was unfortunate. But the truth is, I needed those extra days as personal days to catch up on work, because I just couldn't do it all. Some of them, sure, like I maybe had a minor sickness thing, or maybe there was an appointment, but I definitely felt that, wow, with everything that's going on, like with the course launch and with the businesses, I would have already needed to take like a couple days off. So I definitely felt relief in knowing that I had the time. I could actually do things that I had been putting off for so long. And it was definitely the right choice, because it's not fair to myself and the businesses to sacrifice them with teaching, but it's also not fair to students to be taking the days off. Now, of course, I had only taken one day off my first year of teaching at the school, so that's why I had so many extra days that I could use. That's a lot of days to be gone. And especially it was more the second half of the year as the business was growing. So I felt relief, and then this past week has actually been where I feel the most grateful and where I just see this as such a great opportunity, because now that the course launch is done, I'm able to focus on different projects. I can have that clarity like I talked about. And honestly, I think it's needed, especially with Jake's responsibilities. He's getting his master's degree this year. And honestly, I don't know how we'd be functioning if I was still working my full-time job, because I would have no time. And in the past, I've leaned on him when I was so busy. It's like, can you do this for me? Can you do this? And this year, he's leaning a lot on me. I'm creating resources for his teaching if he doesn't have time to do so, covering more of the chores, whereas last year he was covering more of the chores. So I'm definitely so grateful, because I needed him so much last year to help with these things when I was in a chaotic state. And now that he's in more of a chaotic state, I'm so happy that I am not as much anymore, so that I can actually cover that stuff, like during the day, for instance. So I'm very grateful. I really am. I thought a lot more too about exercise recently. And I talked about this a little bit in videos last week that went up on the main channel. But I've definitely been struggling with exercise a little bit and trying to figure out what the best approach is. I've been trying to get myself to exercise more in the morning, because I know that's like, a helpful thing. A lot of people say it's very important to their productivity for the day. I've been dabbling in yoga. I've been doing some basic strength exercises, push-ups, squats, that kind of thing. Basic stretching. And sometimes I do go work out with Jake after school. He's not really doing that as much anymore, just because it's been so busy, but probably like 2 or 3 times a week I'm going with him to work out. But I still haven't really dealt with some of the weight gain from the summer. I was realizing that those little pockets of exercise aren't really going to cut it. Obviously, there are dietary choices I can make. I've been having a few too many processed foods, which I think is part of it. But doing the yoga or doing the stretches here at home or whatever, it's not something that I enjoy enough to want to do it. I was thinking back to my past, and I was a track athlete for a long time, which I think helped ultimately and was great for fitness and strength. But one of the things I also enjoyed doing was dancing. It was always just on my own in my basement, my parents' basement. And that was something that was just fun. And I've done a little bit here and there, but I haven't done a ton with it. But the funny thing is, I realized that our hall bathroom that our roommate had previously been using, they moved out about a month and a half ago at this point. It's kind of like it could be a dance studio in there. Now, I know it's kind of weird. We're not actually using the bathroom much because we don't need like the tub. She did break part of the sink without telling us. So we discovered that after she had moved out, which was an unpleasant surprise. But so we're not really using the sink in there. And so it's got a mirror in there. It's kind of wide. It actually looks kind of like the space I used to dance in my parents' basement. And so I've been the last few days using that kind of as a dancing studio for myself. And that actually has been fun. I can dance for way longer than I can do other physical activity. And so I think that's going to be my approach. And for me, more so that's a middle of the day thing. So kind of like before lunchtime, really. So I think I just have to be self-aware and stick to that rather than trying to make what works for a lot of other people work for me, since I'm not everyone else. So that's kind of the thoughts about exercise. And then the last thing I wanted to address as far as reflections has to do with imposter syndrome, which I personally haven't experienced a lot of. It maybe comes in pockets, but I definitely experienced a lot of it last week. And imposter syndrome is basically where you feel like you're not good enough, or you kind of question, like, do I even have the authority to be, talking about these topics or doing these different things? I was questioning my abilities as far as making videos and addressing minimalism. Like, am I really the one who should be, this expert who's talking to these 40,000 people? I was also feeling kind of sad because not as many people signed up for the course as the first session, even though I had done a lot more work and some marketing and that kind of thing. And I was kind of feeling a lot of insecurity. Like, is it because, they don't trust you as a teacher, or just thinking oh, well, people don't really maybe care about your videos as much anymore. So a lot of negative self-doubt kind of thoughts, which, to be very honest, I haven't struggled with a ton. And so it was definitely a trickier week. My husband was really helpful, as well as Vera from Simple Happy Zen. We text almost every day. She was really helpful as well, with some insight. And I know I was struggling at one point, just, did I make the right choice? Should I have stopped teaching? Financially, what's going to happen? And it was definitely tricky. But I did have to remind myself, number one, that obviously every business has ups and downs, and a lot of people who are far more successful than me have talked about feeling imposter syndrome. I'm not sharing any of this because I need pity, but I don't know. It feels good to be open. And with the course thing, I was kind of feeling sad because not as many students signed up, but there's still an amazing group of 40 people in there. So I like to be as open as possible. And it was just tricky too, because I was feeling kind of sad about it, but I didn't feel like I could share it publicly, because if you share it publicly, then it's oh, you don't want people to question, well, why am I taking the course then if fewer people signed up than last time? So I guess I'm using this particular platform to share that. But I think too, as far as what I reflected about when thinking, did I make the right choice to stop teaching? I definitely think I did. And one of the biggest goals of it, just besides the fact that things have grown a lot this year, has to do with where our family is headed. And hopefully very soon we are going to be starting to try to expand the family. And we are looking forward to the opportunity of having children. And it's something that's important. I do want to be a work-at-home mom for a decent chunk of their life. I don't want to be taking care of other people's kids instead of my own. Obviously, not that there's anything wrong with doing that. We all make our own choices, but that's kind of been something that's very important to me. And an important part of that is to really create passive income streams this year. So I'm doing a lot with course creation, ebook creation, teacher resources. I'm trying to create them at a pretty quick pace this year, just because I can create them now, and then they'll be able to continue to provide value to people and also provide an income stream for the future. So that part's important. Even if I'm not seeing benefits of that now, the benefits will be there long term. So that was what I had to remind myself. That section of the video took a lot more time than the first parts. Let me know if you liked a month in review concept of a video or not so much. I'm not offended at all by your honest opinions, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll put a couple of the past vlogs here. We'll get back into more of the vlog style videos coming up soon. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.